Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Joe. Last night I put out a tweet asking for some help with a darkroom print I wanted to do, and the topic came back as 1960s depot scenes. So I wanted to just do a little video on the start to show what I actually do in the darkroom. So here right now I'm choosing a negative of the scene that I wanted to do. This particular one is of Mallard in 9 Elms Depot, taken in about, I think it's the early 1960s, it's either 1962 or 1963. And essentially I'm just checking it for any dust, if there's any scratches on it, and I wanted to give it a bit of a clean. And then what I do then is I take that negative and pop it into the enlarger carrier. Now this has got anti-Newtonian reflective glass in it, and essentially that just squeezes the negative flat and makes sure there's no internal reflections between the two pieces of glass, keeping it nice and flat, and that way then you don't get any distortion when you're enlarging it. The photographer, I'm not too sure who they were, but given the age of the negative, I don't think they're with us anymore. So it's a bit of a lesson there, is always print out your negatives, whatever you do, because one day you're not actually going to take any more pictures. Negatives are the one thing that you leave behind. So here I'm using my enlarger lens. I'm just adding a 105mm lens to the enlarger. A 105mm lens will cover enough for a 6x9 image. If you need something like a 35mm negative, then you want to use something like a 50mm. I'm attaching it to my enlarger. For those of you who are wondering, I use an LPL 7450 Mark II. It means I can print up to anything up to 4x5, so that's large format. It's not necessarily a beginner enlarger, but you know, if you wanted to upgrade, give it a go. You can find them for quite cheap. But now we get to the bit of the fun part now, where we knock on the red light, and you get to see that image getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we fire up the enlarger. This bit here is where I'm focusing it. Essentially, that's a grain focuser, where I'm looking for the actual grain in the negative. That lets me know when I'm in fully focused and how sharp it is. So now it's time for the paper. I'm always using Ilford papers. Ilford are quite a common and quite a really decent quality paper to use. I'm only using resin coated paper, but I always print up larger than 16x12. It gives you a great quality, and you get to see the full shades and tones and everything in the image. 10x8 is great, but you know, that's only really useful in college terms or university terms. So in this image I'm going for the full 16x12 bit of paper. I'm using 1-inch borders. I'm just testing here to see what the actual the contrast is going to be like. I started on a grade 5. I like to start with really high punchy tones. So I always start off on a grade 5. With older images as well, they tend to be quite soft, and they use a lot of tones, but I quite like mine to be really punchy. So here we go straight into the developer bath. Again, I'm using Ilford chemicals again. This is just Ilford standard developer. It doesn't really cost that much, but some people swear by stuff like Dectol. I've always sworn by Ilford. And again, because it's resin coated paper, it doesn't take that long to develop. I don't really go more than a minute with resin coated papers. The next stage then, so from development we go into the stop bath. I'm only using a wart stop bath here. Most people would use an acetic one, but unfortunately I've run out. I can use stuff like vinegar, but standard water really does the job here. It doesn't really matter. I'm in a vest because the darkroom gets really hot. That enlarger I use tends to chuck out so much heat. So you can see there I'm in a vest and shorts. And then we come out of the stop bath, and then it goes into the fix bath. I've been using a neutral fixer for this particular project. I forgot the name. It's Burfix, Berger's neutral Burfix that I've used. Again, it's quite a cheap one, but you do get through the bottle quite fast in this stuff. But again, once it's been sitting there for at least a minute, it gives a chance for you to turn the light on and understand how it's all going. So we've got the light on now, and I'm just going to take my print out to show what it looks like, just to understand if there's any marks on there, if there's any amendments I need to make. As you can see from here, it's quite punchy already, and I'm quite happy with that. It's printed at grade 5 as mentioned before, and I've done this particular one at about 25 seconds. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that one. So it's only natural that we give it a bar. Most people don't have a dedicated darkroom. I don't as well, despite living in a decent sized house. So my bathroom comes in place as well. But basically what we're doing here is just we're washing off the residual fix and any other developer that might be in it. Again, because I use a water stop bath, I don't think there's real much need to wash it too long. But again, it's in there for at least 2 minutes. It's a resin coated print. If it was fibre, I'd probably be washing it for about 45 minutes. But again, this is British summer and we haven't had much sun. We've had quite a lot of rain, so I don't think we're going to be draining any reservoirs this time of year. Once it's been rinsed, I just like to take it out, pop it up onto the tiles. Just give me a chance to see what it looks like, if there's anything further, if there's any stains on there or whatnot. I give it a bit of a squeegee. Some people love a squeegee, some people hate the squeegee process. I just do it a quick one just to see if anything's going wrong. If this was a particular final exhibition print, I probably wouldn't squeegee it at all. But that's just to drain any excess water off. And then it sits above the toilet to dry out. Now, of course, I'm a big believer that once you've taken a picture, print it out. Don't keep it on your phone if you've used digital photography. Again, if you've got negatives and you've got an enlarger, print them out. The bigger the better. And this is when it really turns out to be, it really gives you that value. As you can see, the standard print itself looks quite nice, but when you begin to put it into a frame, it becomes an even better work of art for myself. This is a 16 by 12 frame that came from IKEA. It's just a cheap and cheerful one, but it still delivers a lovely end image for everybody. The print as well itself is glossy black. I have used some fibre-based paper in the past, which came with a matte finish, and it looks quite nice. But sometimes the glossy one gives you that those nice blacks even behind a plate of glass. Just fitting it in there, and it will soon appear for us all. And there you have it, one final print, 16 by 12 of Mallard in Nine Elms Depot, taken in about the early 1960s, about 1962. Here's me looking quite goofy, trying to take a picture of it, but I realised I can't look sexy when I'm in my gym vest in the middle of a dark room, which is stinking hot. And there's a final image ready to be hung up on the wall or put on for display. If you've got any questions, give me a shout, and I hope you have a lovely evening. Thank you.